right, I'm currently on the phone with the members of Scarlet Tangerine, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the chance to introduce themselves.
I'm Heidi. I'm the lead singer of the Scarlet Tangerines.
And I'm Oliver, the rhythm guitarist.
I'm Chris, the guitarist as well, lead and rhythm.
And I'm Mark. I'm the drummer.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. All right. So let's go ahead and talk to you guys about, where the music came from. Tell me a little bit about each of you, about how you first got involved in music, and what about it kind of inspired you to want to pursue a life with it?
So I have been, I grew up around music. I grew up in a very musical family. I've been singing since I was probably about 5 years old. I grew up going to performing arts schools. Musical theater was a big part of my past. Never thought I would be in a band. That's definitely not something I had in my, I always loved bands. I grew up around bands. I spent a lot of time going to shows when I was a kid. I always loved local music, spent a lot of time in the local music scene. When I was in my early 20s, I dated a lot of musicians and spent a lot of time around the local music scene, but I never imagined that I would be in my own band. That didn't start till I was in my late 20s, and I started writing my own music as sort of my own therapy. I needed a way to deal with some personal trauma that I was dealing with. I went through a lot of personal stuff, and I just started writing. It was my coping skill. And I had all of these lyrics and all of this poetry, and I needed to do something with it. And one night I had a friend who came over to my house, and I played the guitar a little bit. I had taught myself to play a certain amount of guitar, and I had 2 guitars. And a friend of mine came over and he played the guitar, and he grabbed my guitar and he started playing something, just making something up. And I said, I think I have lyrics to that. And I grabbed some stuff that I had written and I just started singing along, and we wrote a song, and it just kind of happened. And then we ended up that night writing 2 songs. Band-Aids was one of the songs that we wrote, and the other song is called The Night. And my friend, that was when I had the idea we could start a band. We could really do something with this. And my friend was not interested in starting a band. We talked about it a little bit, but that was where the idea came from. And that's where my start with the Scarlet Tangerines came from. Band-Aids and The Night were 2 songs that I kind of held on to. I had these really shitty cell phone recordings that we had made that night that I shopped around for months to different guitarists to see if I could find someone who had the same vision of me for these 2 songs that could take it and make something out of it. And eventually I put a band together, and Band-Aids was eventually written into our most popular song. So that's kind of the background of where the Scarlet Tangerines came from, and my background in music and where it originated.
Awesome. That's great. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. So I started playing instruments when I was about 10. And I worked all summer on a farm when I was 12, got enough money to buy a drum set. And that vintage Ludwig 5-pieces, now one of my favorite sets in my collection. It's 40 years old. I always had bands starting in middle school and in high school as the drummer, and sometimes playing bass. I had a bass at the time. I got into music after sitting on a friend's drum kit at his house. And I'd never been on a drum kit or even really seen one at that point, just on TV. And it just struck me as the coolest thing you could do.
It is.
So, yeah, so I had bands through high school. In college, I formed a cover band called Naked Apes out in Boulder, Colorado. And that's how I got a lot of my spending money through college, was playing playing parties and playing places in Boulder like Tulagi, Fox Theater, the Dark Horse, playing in Fort Collins, good music town. And when I moved up to Minnesota, I recreated that cover band with some people that I worked with. And then I quit because I was tired of playing covers. Then I joined because I didn't have anything better going. And then I finally left for good. And then Chris and I were playing in a band and figuring things out and going through musicians when I think he got a hold of Heidi and we started to play. What was that, 2 years ago?
Almost.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll stop there so others can chime in.
Okay, nice.
I'll go next. So Alex, I've done an interview with you before. So
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I've spoken to you before.
Yeah, I don't need to go too far into it, but like I mentioned last time, I've been playing. I kind of like Mark. I played other instruments growing up. I played the trumpet and tuba and stuff, but then eventually formed a band in high school. Played the guitar. Was the lead singer of that band, but didn't think I was that good at singing. And then I had another project more recently. It was all online, called Silver and Cold Sorrow. So both of those bands have stuff out there. But then, I just have I play guitar for a while now, most of my life at this point. And then, so the Scarlet Tangerines has been my main focus since we all joined them, I guess. Heidi is the only original member at this point, but so Mark and I joined the same time, like about a year and a half ago, or closer to almost 2 years at this point. But yeah, that's my background.
All right, this is my turn now. I didn't really get super into music until I was around high school. And I would say the first time I played an instrument was a guitar. And it was just like for a music class in middle school. And then nothing really came of that until high school when I got gifted my first guitar from my stepdad. And ever since then, I would just lock myself in my room and play. I was really inspired by Avenged Sevenfold and Metallica, just all these rock stars. And that's what really drove my passion for music. And I loved how it made me feel and how the energy I got from it. And then I started learning other instruments, like drums was next. And then I learned piano. And then I eventually took up music production. And I've been kind of just doing all that on the side. And then about a couple months ago, Corey asked me, which is the bassist, he asked me if I wanted to join this band. And at the time I was like, I got nothing to do and I want to do something with music. So hell yeah. And then that's how I got with the Scarlet Tangerines.
All right, perfect.
We're missing Corey today, but he's
Sure. All right, so we'll do this a little bit differently since we have so many people. Why don't each of you kind of take a turn just kind of describing how you have brought your influences into this project? And kind of what I mean by that is, we all kind of have our influences that inform the way we approach an instrument. Just give a little detail about how you bring that into writing parts for Scarlet Tangerines.
I think my influence definitely comes in my lyrics. I'm very much of a poet and a writer. And I would say that who I am as a person definitely shines through in my lyrics more than anything else. So if someone were to ask me in terms of what I bring to the table in the band, lyrically, I would say that's probably what it is the lyrics, the storyline. I do write a certain amount of the music, but more of the music is written by Chris. He's more of the musician. I'm more of the poet.
Cool. I'll go next. My own influences, I'm influenced a lot by Stuart Copeland, by, drummers from The Clash, a lot of punk influences. When I was in high school was during the 80s, and we were very punk. So we were listening to, Minutemen and Black Flag and Husker Du and this kind of stuff. I think what I bring to the band, besides the rehearsal space and a lot of the equipment, is I'm a good listener to what others are doing, and I think I have a good sense of where the rhythm needs to support the song and then where it needs to come and shine out front a little bit more. I think the best example of that is probably Karma, this new, our newest single that released. And if you listen to that, there's not a lot of fills in that song on the drums, but what there is a really driving kind of up-tempo semi-punk beat that I think really fits well. So my contribution is to try to know when to kick back and pocket support, and then when we're sonically a little thin and we need a little more, a little more in the sound there.
Nice, that's great.
Yeah, I like, just basing on what you just said, I liked learning last practice about the cymbal technique you talked about, hitting the bell during guitar solos. I'd never heard of that before. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I bet you can't listen to a guitar solo now without hearing the bell that the guy's going to be playing, because that's what they do.
Yeah, I need to listen to that more.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I think I said the same thing in the other interview. I think of myself as more of a guitar writer than guitar player or songwriter. I haven't had a chance to do it much in this band yet because we spent the first year or so perfecting the first album in a live setting, and only Heidi was part of that writing process. So now we're getting into the writing new songs process. So Karma was, I think, the first example of that, where we wrote that song didn't even exist until we all worked on that together. So that was an example where Heidi came up with like the chords and the lyrics, but I spent time like making demos of, okay, here's the arrangement that I think would work for this song. And it went through some changes, and I liked that we kind of like Corey's suggestion to cut a certain part made it shorter, which it needed. We all have influences on where it goes, but like that's kind of what I like to do, is put the puzzle together and kind of make a song out of riff ideas that either I come up with or other people come up with. Or I also like that Heidi writes lyrics, because I hate writing lyrics. I like to write entire songs if I can, but the lyrics is always my least favorite part, and the part that I never like what I come up with, and makes me not finish songs. So it's nice. The last two bands, this one and the previous band I've been in, the singer wanted to write their own melodies and lyrics, and at first it was hard to let go of the melody especially, but just knowing that I don't have to write lyrics ever again is just awesome. So I really like that. As a guitar player, I think I'm decent, but like it's more, it's kind of like Mark said, like bring what the song needs is kind of my approach. Guitar solos are fun when the song calls for it, but it's not always the most important thing. So,
all
right, my turn. Well, I guess I haven't really brought anything new to the band yet since I recently joined not that long ago. I've just been kind of up with the history and learning all the songs, stuff like that, getting more comfortable with the bandmates so I can stretch my legs out. But I feel like with my influences, I kind of just go with the flow for the part, but yeah, I don't really know, because I like to add onto what other people make, but I also make my own music, but it's way different from the stuff that the band make. So it's like I have all these ideas that I want to make, but I have yet to figure out how to fit them into Scarlet Tangerines.
Yeah, I keep feeling like there's just going to be some period where you're going to really come up with some cool stuff here, because it is pretty early on, but I can just tell that you like you're adding more new ideas to songs, even in a live setting. And also, yeah, you just sent like 3 demos yesterday or whatever. So I can see that we're going to start doing more here for sure.
Awesome. That's great. So that kind of leads into what my next question was going to be about where you guys are at in like the writing process. Are you just putting songs together to start doing shows, or do you have like recording and production ambitions in mind for what you're writing? What's kind of your immediate milestone goal?
Well, right now we have one song written and released, and we have a second one that is written and ready to release on July 1st, a second single. And then we have 2 songs, one that we're working on and one that is written that we're going to record. And so we're building our way up. We have a couple more that we're writing. We're building our way up toward recording a 3rd album. It's going to be a while, we're writing. We're not quick to just throw together an album. We're really taking our time with it. And it took us 2 years to write the last 2 songs. So, we're taking our time, but we're really diving deep into the writing process right now more than anything else. And we are playing shows for sure as often as we can. But we're also doing a lot on the back end. We're filming 2 music videos. We have one that's in post-production right now and one that's in pre-production. And then we probably will have another 2 coming next year. So there's just a lot going on right now behind the scenes with the Scarlet Tangerines. We've got a lot coming up. But writing-wise, yeah, we've got a lot coming up in the next couple of years.
That's awesome. So just to clarify there, you said you have 2 previous albums as well, so you're working on your 3rd?
Yeah, we have an EP that we released in 2019, New Year's Day 2020. And then we have the full album that we released New Year's Day 2021.
That's awesome. So has it been this full lineup that whole time, or has it been kind of getting people together and building that lineup?
It's a really funny question you ask. It's a long story, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But yeah, we did have a different lineup when we first started. That lineup ended up not working out. We had some disagreements, but it ended up. I ended up leaving. They ended up leaving me basically with just the music and no band over a disagreement. And I sat with just the music and the name, the Scarlet Tangerines, for about a year, unsure what I was going to do with it, and pretty disappointed and pretty let down without a band to work with me, until Chris got a hold of me, and he had seen, and I had posted on a Facebook group saying I was looking for a band to jump back into the Scarlet Tangerines and get things going again. Probably a year earlier, when Chris got a hold of me, and he saw a very old post. And he came to me, and I was not optimistic at that point because I had tried to put the band together several times and it had not worked. And he basically, he brought it to me and he was like, I really want to make this work. And I basically said, if you can put a lineup together and put the musicians together and make it work, then I will come and sing. And he had a lineup together within a week of musicians. It was really cool. He just threw it together, and we shuffled around a little bit. I mean, we went without a bass player for probably 6 months before we found one, but we still played. We made it work. We had a rhythm guitarist, and then we lost our rhythm guitarist for probably about 6 weeks. We played without one, but then we found Oliver, and we've managed to make it work. And I will say, this band, the dynamic between this band is a lot more solid than it was with the last band. We make a much better team. I'm much happier with this band.
Awesome. Does anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I think my experience is that we did quite a few shows last year. I mean, we did shows from Duluth down to Iowa, and I mean, I think more than 20 shows. So the summer was really busy performing. And then we took a hiatus a little bit over the winter. Chris's wife had their second child, and Corey had a lot of work commitments going and family stuff. So we had a little quiet period. But then since we got going again, it's we've worked from all this experience getting the songs down, playing them live, to now going into, in our case, we went into 1459 studios for these last two in Minneapolis.
Sure, with Will Maravalis.
Yeah, with Will, who shout out to Will. We really like working with Will. He's a great guy. Knows how to produce music. So now like Heidi said, I think we're going to do more of that. We've got these music videos. I'm super pumped for those to drop. I think people are really going to, I think they're really going to have their eyes open by the depth of some of Heidi's story that is depicted in the video in the first one. And then, the second one that we're getting to work on. Gig wise, we have, we have a couple coming up, including a headliner at Underground Music Cafe on the 31st. So, we're going to start to see the gig activity picking up, but it's kind of cool to take a step back and to be in the studio again, like we have been.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
I'll add, because that kind of explained everything very gradually there. So I think the first year or more was really focused on, okay, this is basically a new band. Everyone has to learn all the songs by ear, and then, we practice. Okay, we're going to learn one new song this week, but play all the old ones, and then, here's some cover ideas. So it really was that for a while. So that's why when Heidi says it takes 2 years to write 2 songs, it's because we weren't really doing it. We just weren't really working on any new material. We had all this old material to fill out a show with the old band, and I think we did a really good job of playing the old songs that, just by ear. So we did that a lot. And then now we're trying to do both. And I think it's really, for me, it feels like autopilot to play the old songs because we've done them every week for over a year. So now we can do both. We can do that. And okay, this last hour of practice, let's just work on the new song. Whether that's one that one of us came up with at home and brought a recording in, or maybe we'll start writing stuff together in a room. We haven't done that much before, but at least going through the song together and figuring out where things happen. So it's just a new challenge. I wouldn't say we've really done it much until this year. So to sort of explain it.
All right. Well, that's all really great information. We'll kind of move this along a little bit. Where can people follow Scarlet Tangerines and check out the videos when they come out and, listen to your previous releases and stuff?
So the videos are going to be on YouTube. We are aiming to get Karma out by the 1st of June, but it might be delayed a couple days because there's been some computer issues. But we're aiming to get it out by the 1st of June. That'll be on YouTube. They can follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're kind of all over the place. We're on Bandcamp. If you search the Scarlet Tangerines on Google, we come up all over the first several pages. So we're pretty easy to find. I would just Spotify. Yeah, you can find us on Spotify. We're on all the major streaming platforms.
And I'd say shout out to Dylan, Heidi's boyfriend, for all of his filming work. He's the mastermind of the video and the filming and the editing and all that. So that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't each of you kind of take a turn giving your final message? What is a message that you have that you want somebody else to hear?
Oh, wow. I'll go with one. So my message is going to be to the drummers out there, the aspiring drummers, because this is something that took me a long time to figure out. Learn to play slowly. It's easy to play blazing fast because that's usually how you practice. You're usually trying to do that, that eye-popping solo. But what I learned with one of the bands that I played with prior to Scarlet Tangerines was the value of playing slow. So I actually got into it with a click track. And so that's my message is don't always play fast, play slow. It'll really help your playing.
Agreed.
I would say that my message to anybody if they know my story, is don't stop if you get knocked down, because you just get up and keep going. You know, where I was 2 years ago, I never thought that I would be anywhere with the Scarlet Tangerines, but now we've been on the radio every single day since Karma came out on May 1st, and it's very, very cool. And that is just because I didn't give up and I kept going and I pushed, and we got the Scarlet Tangerines back off the ground. So that's kind of my message to people, is don't give up. If you get knocked down, keep going, because you can pull it back together.
Perfect.
All I'll say is, as a guitar player, don't rule out the new all-in-one pedals out there. I use an HX Stomp, and that's all I use. I just plug it into the PA at every show. It's so much easier to carry around, and you can push one button and everything changes, all the parameters, all the effects turn on and off. I sounded like crap in high school. I just plugged into an amp, and I might have had like a pedal or two in front. I didn't know anything about sound, but now I can just sound really, I think, pretty good at any show, and it always sounds pretty consistent.
Also solid advice.
I guess my advice would really be just, you want to make music, but you're not sure, like you're like not like confident in like what you have or what like other people are going to think of it. I just don't even like have that thought in mind, because like at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter like if it's good or bad, you still made something that most other people can't or don't or just won't. So like, yeah, never give up on something you want to do just because you're not sure of your abilities and stuff.